episode. She goes, "This is totally embarrassing and degrading, but we need the money."
Yeah.
I started dying at that line.
I'm blanking on it so bad. Okay, I think it's
Michael Bay.
Hello, everybody.
It's just one of those days.
It's just one of those days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sing the other line, then.
Wait, what's the other line?
It's just one of those days.
Where you don't want to wake up. Everything is fucked. Everybody sucks.
You ever heard that's a Limp Bizkit song?
It's bad. It's so bad.
Yeah. It's literally a song that you put on when you're just not in the mood and you just want to go
Yeah.
punch something.
That's the theme song.
It's literally
for
called
today.
Break Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's one
Yeah.
of break stuff. Just one of those days. Sorry.
Go ahead, then. You can continue now.
You don't know why, but you want to justify.
No, you don't need to
repetitive-
continue the song. You continue hosting.
Okay.
All you said was hello.
He wanted
Hold
to
on.
get it all out.
All right. Hello, everybody. Sorry for that Limp Bizkit opening,
No, it's
But-
great.
That was-
They're welcome.
but this is a Pokemon podcast. The Life is Daijoubu Pokemon. What do we call this?
Watch along.
Watch along. Yes. The Life is Daijoubu watch along Pokemon. Not in that order, but you get it. You see the
kind of in that order.
you see
Yeah. This episode
you
4
see the title. This is episode 4.
of that series.
Man, only 4 episodes, and we've gotten to our first band episode.
You know, these are going to be very few and far between as we go on.
Yeah,
Like, I've been looking at the list to try to, like, keep in mind. Like,
yeah.
we had, quote-unquote, 2 this week. One of them wasn't necessarily a band. It was more of a delayed episode. But, like, the next band episode isn't until the Porygon episode. And then after that, it's the Ash gets a gun pointed at his head episode.
Which I wanted to ask: are we gonna watch that or skip over it?
I say we watch it.
Yeah, because there are people have archived it and put it online. So
I would
if it's
just
there, it's there.
Viewer discretion advised kind of thing.
Yeah, you probably know the scene.
If you're an
by now.
epileptic, don't watch.
Yeah.
You know the
then-
Simpsons joke by now.
After the Ash gets a gun pointed at his head episode, like literally, I think it's like hundreds of episodes before the next band episode.
Yeah. I think the next band was in Advanced Generation.
Yeah,
I think where because
think
it had
it's
a
Johto.
Jinx in it
Mhm.
because they said Jinx was a certain
it
stereotype.
was before they
Yeah.
recolored Jinx officially, I believe.
Yeah.
From its blackface persona
Yeah.
to just having a purple, mildly
Yeah.
less blackface, but still
Some-
kind of blackface.
some-
Like Jinx is just a bad Pokemon.
So
Got
one
them DSLs.
Oh,
one woman journalist.
Hair.
So one journalist got offended over it. And
honestly, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
Jinx pretty, like, I don't think they obviously, like, if you look into the history of Jinx, you know that was not the intention.
Yeah, it's like Yama-Oba.
but
like
when you
the-
look at it, you
yeah.
go, I know that's not the intention, but
Yeah. It's kind of like Mr. Popo in Dragon Ball. He's like kind of the same.
yep.
Yeah.
When I think of Jinx, I think of Pokemon Stadium and its death animation. Because when it dies, its hair just like floats down, and it's like, what did I
Does
just
it
do?
shrink into the hair?
Let me
Yeah.
show you.
Oh
show
boy.
Yeah. And also looking at band episodes, there was also a few unaired episodes that for some reason, there's one reason there was one that was unaired because it had involved an earthquake, and that happened during the Japanese earthquakes. And then the second one was like a duology, and they said they were intended to air, but they just never did, and they just removed them from continuity. It's like, that's weird. Okay.
The most recent band episode was from the Sun and Moon series. I know that, and that was also with because of like blackface innuendo stuff.
Oh.
I guess innuendo is not the right word. Implications.
I saw the picture because Ash dressed up like a Pokemon.
He was trying to dress
Yeah.
up, and they're
The-
really like
The
I know that
brown makeup was not applied at the right place.
their intention was definitely supposed to be wholesome. it just did not go over that way.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Anyway, you got your. Oh, he's still looking. I see him scrubbing on the YouTube.
Say
I'm
no.
sorry.
It's what they used to do back in Vietnam. Wait, no.
Oh gosh. So when we get to these band episodes, we'll let you know. I'll try to put them in the community tab as we get to them as well. Oh yeah, it just becomes the hair.
It's just her hair.
Everything
Her
else goes
hair.
away. The hair stays.
Also, when we get to the episode, which probably won't be like in like a year, not really a year, but like probably at the end of the year, right?
Which one?
The Porygon one.
I actually don't remember which one's next. It's either the Ash Gun or the Porygon, but that might not even be. Oh, it's probably got to be.
It's like
this
in the
year.
80s, so
It'll be this year sometime probably.
But I got like a rant about that because looking it up, I'm like, it didn't have to be this way, but whatever.
Yeah, dude, I already know what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
Rip my homie Porygon.
Yeah,
he did nothing
my
wrong.
Porygon.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Though.
Even
We'll save
Pokemon
that.
tweeted that said Porygon did nothing wrong, and people took offense to it.
That's funny.
And it's true, he didn't. If you go watch the footage, he didn't.
We'll be there.
We'll get there.
But yeah. Anyways, let's get on with the watch along and Cole. Which one, Cole or Sky?
I got the first one.
Yeah.
I got episode 16. I got my double notes conundrum going on again, so I'm gonna do my best to go back and forth. Before I actually get into the episode, I want to briefly talk about how this episode traumatized me as a child. I literally think that this is the reason why I have a minor fear of water. It took me a very long time to really learn how to swim and like get confident with it. I would say even now I'm still not the greatest swimmer, and water doesn't necessarily scare me. Granted, this episode plus Sonic the Hedgehog 2 when you see Sonic drowning. It's between that and the little depiction that Ash has where he goes down to like look for something underwater and it shows him drowning. Between those two images, I was traumatized for water for quite some time. So, like, to this day, I still plug my nose as I jump into water. Like, I don't need to anymore because I can do the thing where you blow air out of your nose, but I still plug my nose. To the point where if I'm like jumping into like a foam pit without even realizing, I'll go to plug my nose. And I caught myself doing that literally like a month ago, if that. So thank you, Pokemon and Sonic by extension, for making me terrified of water. Anyway, the start of our episode, we hear the narrator talk about the Titanic, which is ironic because this was a dub inclusion. This was never in the sub. They don't bring up the Titanic in the sub. I guess that it hit the 20 plus years.
Yeah.
well over 20.
Well over 20 years. I guess it's okay to joke about it. Thanks, Pokemon narrator.
Try a century, but
he said, "Holy Titanic!" I was like, "What the?" Literally, like anytime we watch these Pokemon episodes now, I'm very attentive, and that one just like immediately right off the bat, you're like, "We're going. This is it, baby."
It just starts out strong, dude. So it goes into immediately after that, we see Officer Jenny and a bunch of other police officers on a boat, essentially saluting the fallen, which are, as they list off, Ash, James, and Jesse. They say, "We salute these people for dying." Turns out there actually was people on the boat. That's basically what they say. They throw some flowers in the ocean and let them sink down. And they're like, "Okay, we're done." They just leave. And it's just, like watching this part, I was just like, okay. I mean, I guess it's kind of what they would do in real life, but like, just the whole circumstances of like, they gave up trying to save them.
No search and rescue.
No search and rescue.
You could literally use like a Gyarados or a freaking any water Pokemon.
Any water Pokemon could have gone down there and figured out something.
Lapras could have gone down there.
Yeah, anything. Yeah. And so, going back down to the boat, under the water, upside down under the water, we see Ash waking up due to Misty and Brock trying to get him up. He falls down because there's the whole topsy-turvy kind of thing. Like, he's upside down, but he's really not.
His
They're upside
pants
down.
were stuck on a table.
Yeah, it's like his belt got stuck on a table or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but he wiggles himself off and falls down, and they have a discussion. Side note, there's at one point where you can see real fish. Those aren't Pokemon. Every now and then in these early anime episodes, you'll just see real animals alongside of the Pokemon, and that's very, very strange just in general. Anyway, they have this discussion of like, oh crap, we're underwater. What's gonna happen now? And we don't know because it cuts over to Jesse and James doing the same thing that Ash and their group are doing. We see Jesse and James on a beach, kind of just having this nice dream. And
She's hot.
It's very hot for them in that situation because they happen to take a nice nap under the burners of the kitchen and the stove for some reason, and Meowth wakes them up. They start freaking out. They start getting their bearings right. They go, okay, well we need to essentially get out of the ship. We need to swim out somehow. Jesse has the bright idea to have Ekans use acid on the boat so they can get out, and that's not the greatest thing to do because now they just put a giant hole in the boats, making it sink even faster, filling up with water. Side note, I don't know how this would actually affect it. Do you think water could actually get into the boat at this point if there's no way for the air to escape at the top?
Depends on the level. Actually, that's a good point because
theoretically the water wouldn't be able to continue to go up.
Yeah.
And we're not scientists. I'm looking too into this. Let's be honest. I'm looking a little bit too into it. Anyway, so they get stuck in this water current that they create, and it cuts back to our main heroes. They're wandering around trying to figure it out. And then we get to the famous scene that I was just briefly talking about, how they're trying to decide should they go up or should they go down, and Ash decides, yeah, we should go down because that's the top of the boat. That'd make more sense to get out, and logically so, that sounds right. But then Brock points out, hey, if we do that and we get stuck, there's no way out, then we dead. Yeah. And so they send Goldine to go find a way to see if there's like a passageway, an unblocked passage, so that they won't essentially die. And after a couple minutes, Goldine brings back Team Rocket. It found Team Rocket drowning, essentially. It saves them. They get into a bit of a tussle with the main group, and because of this, the boat starts rocking. For some reason, of all things, the boat's on this like spire, sitting like on a teeter-totter thing. Very, very specific circumstance. But anyway, I'll get back to that later because I have issues with that as well. More science issues, I guess. They stabilize the boat after going back and forth, trying to get everything like balanced out properly. Then they decide to settle their differences, team up, and make their way to the top or the bottom of the boat, which would be the hull or the base, the bottom, which is now upwards. Very confusing, all this topsy-turvy stuff. But they do that, and they start heading their way. And this is where one of my first issues is. This isn't any segment or anything. It's just like they had this issue with having their Pokemon out earlier on, and then they needed to make a staircase and go to another level, and they have Brock send out Onyx to do this.
Would that tip it even more?
I think that would tip it even faster, so I'm not really sure why that was okay, but everything else before wasn't.
Also, I don't think enough people would tip the ship. Ships are pretty heavy.
Humongous.
Yeah, they're pretty heavy and big.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't understand it. I don't know why Onyx was even allowed to come out in that moment. But they do it. Onyx comes out, makes a staircase. They go across. Later on, they come across another gap, and Bulbasaur helps them out. They get all of their group across, Team Rocket included, and they finally make it to the bottom or the top of the boat in this case. And they have Charmander chop open a hole. Team Rocket starts freaking out, and the main group's just like, you just get on a water Pokemon, bro. We're gonna be into water. Just use your water Pokemon. And Charmander breaks the hole open. The water comes coming out, and they go through the water, leaving Team Rocket, who doesn't have a water Pokemon, except for Magikarp, which isn't necessarily going to help him in this situation. My favorite part about this is how they just assume Team Rocket has a water Pokemon and just leaves them. They're just like, they got one, right? And they just leave. They didn't. They drowned. They died. And they get back, the main trio, they get onto the top. They find some raft stuff to sit on.
Well, they tried to use Magikarp.
Yeah, they did try to use the Magikarp.
Yeah,
Magikarp didn't work.
Magikarp is not a good swimmer.
It's kind of flopped around.
Yeah. I love how when they got to the top, Brock was just like, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, instantly.
Misty's got 3 or 4 water Pokemon. It's like Ash has got there's plenty you can do.
Totally. Instantly, there's like, well, they're dead. Sucks for them. then they send out. They just try to do like a whole Noah and the Ark kind of thing, where they send out Pidgeotto to find some land and come back with like
a Bible reference.
Yeah, literally a Bible reference. So
Yeah.
I guess the Christianity is canon in the Pokemon anime.
Yeah.
Or anything. I guess like the Jewish religion kind of uses the Old
There-
Testament, which was that would be in. But
Yeah. Wait a minute. That reminds me of the Beyblade thing where he like.
Moses parts
Yeah,
the Red Sea
yeah.
with the Beyblade. Anyway, Pidgeotto does not find land, but Pidgeotto finds Team Rocket drowning, so I guess they didn't die. That's 2 for 2. Pokemon saved Team Rocket's life twice in this episode, so good on those Pokemon that did that. They bring Team Rocket back, and Brock is just like, they're dead, aren't they? I guess we'll just give them a burial at sea. So they start pushing them off, and they push them off, and they start freaking out because they're not actually dead, and they get back onto the boat. And then they do this like split like frame, not split frame. It's like literally like a 3 or second thing where it shows Pikachu. Pikachu goes, "Dang it, they didn't die." Pikachu
Yeah.
was literally upset that they did not die, and I just wanted to point that out because that's hilarious.
I wrote that in my notes too. I wrote Pikachu is mad they didn't die. Lol.
Yeah, dude. What the F, Pikachu? That's effed up. You can't just
Well-
be sad they didn't die.
Well, essentially, they are his stalkers. So.
Yeah, they're trying to
True,
kidnap him.
true. But still, that's pretty effed up,
Yeah.
Pikachu. Anyway, they're stuck on this raft for who knows how long. Things start looking delicious to them, including this Magikarp, James's Magikarp. All of them, the whole group, save for Misty, is thinking about eating this thing. They want to cook it up this way, but they want to cook it up that way. And Meow finally breaks and decides to go take a bite out of it. Breaks his teeth off. Magikarp's not having it. Magikarp gets a little mad. James kicks the thing into the ocean because he's so mad at it because he couldn't eat it, essentially. It's just been useless to him the entire time. As soon as it hits the water, it evolves. And when it evolves, it's a Gyarados, and it's much more scary,
it's
much more
scary.
powerful. And it starts to attack. And this is my actually for the episode. And I feel like they're going to get more nitpicky here as we go on. And I don't know if I'm going to keep doing these nitpicky ones or if I'm going to try to like be more specific. I don't know. We'll see. This might become a more infrequent segment. But anyway, here's my actually. So, at one point they say Dragon Rage is Gyarados is using Dragon Rage. That's its ultimate attack. So for one, Gyarados has not learned the move Dragon Rage in Red, Blue, and Yellow. That's just the first thing I wanted to point out. It does get it in Generation 2 in Gold, Silver, Crystal.
Was this dubbed when Generation 2 was around?
Well, they would have done it. They would have followed the sub
Yeah.
from the moves, and the sub wouldn't have. I don't think the sub would have been out by Gold, Silver, Crystal. Granted, I haven't looked. Regardless, I still find that a little sus. But that's not the main issue. I can totally look past that. The problem is that Dragon Rage does not look like the attack that they were using. If anything, it looked more like a Dragon Dance or a Twister. And those moves are also moves that does not get in Generation 1, so there's just another little check mark to it. Dragon Rage is more like they're shooting out a thing of fire, and Twister and Dragon Dance would be more like the circling thing motion that
So
they do.
is Dragon Rage, is that the blue flame one?
Yeah, it's the blue flame
Okay.
one. In the games, it always does 40 HP of damage, no more, no less. It always hits 40 HP.
So I could be wrong, but I think they have Dragon Rage in the Pokemon Stadium game. In
They
the
do.
first one.
Oh, they do.
Oh, okay, cool.
Gyarados doesn't get it.
He doesn't? Is
No.
it Dragonite that uses it?
Dragonite would be like the only one that could
Okay,
use it.
because
yeah.
I remember seeing the blue flame.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah, the move's in the game. It's just
Mhm.
not on Gyarados.
Well, speaking of Pokemon Stadium, this is just like a fun little
Go for
tidbit.
it.
Is I'm pretty sure the noise that Magikarp makes when James kicks it goes like do or doi or whatever. I think that's in Pokemon Stadium when you play the Magikarp minigame.
Oh yeah.
And you're like the whole game is just to jump up as Magikarp and ding this bell, and it's like basically cookie clicker. How many clicks can you get within
Yeah.
like a minute? And I will never forget that noise just because it's freaking burned into my memory of Magikarp doing some weird goofy as he just flops up.
Good job, Pokemon Company International.
Yeah.
I guess that might have not even been them that really did all that stuff. I'm not sure how the old Pokemon stuff works, but regardless, all these Gyarados pop out of the ocean, helping out the Gyarados that James kicked. They start attacking our group. Our group freaks out, starts trying to get away. They try, paddling away. But they get stuck in the Twister. They get stuck in the Tornado. And they go flying away, blasting off again. And not just Team Rocket, but our heroes as well. and we don't know what happens to them. That is the end of the episode. We'll have to find out next episode to see what happens.
I don't actually know if you said the name of the episode or not, but I wrote them down this time.
Oh, I didn't.
So that one was called Shipwreck.
It's probably Pokemon Shipwreck.
Yeah.
Because they always have the Pokemon logo in the title, just as like a clever way to put the word Pokemon into it. Most of the titles will have the word Pokemon in them, so I think it's Pokemon Shipwreck.
Yeah, it could be. I just wrote Shipwreck, but on all the others I do have Pokemon written too. So, but episode 17 is called Island of the Giant Pokemon.
Yeah, I bet they use the Pokemon logo on the bottom. Yeah.
So. Once again, like Cole just mentioned, the gang gets sucked up in the cyclone, and they get flung. And this episode picks up with them waking up on an island, and Krabby. So it's all the gang sees the gang there, and then it cuts to Team Rocket, and Krabby sees Team Rocket in the sand, walks up and gives him a little pinch.
They're just okay with it too.
Yeah.
It wakes him up, and they're just like, "Huh." Okay, Krabby's all happily gets away. He's like, cookie.
And then what's funny, and this is also kind of like a sign of kind of where they are, is Jesse and James see a phone booth, and they run up to it, and you're like, wait, what the heck? They're on a deserted island.
Yeah.
We don't know where they are, but there's a phone booth there. And I remember when I first watched it just recently, I was like, wait. A phone booth, like, is the first thing I thought of was like, oh, maybe this is a dream or a mirage or something. But anyway, it's not. It's showing you where they are, kind of in a roundabout way. But they get into the phone booth, they're like, rats, we don't got any money.
Is this when they try to call, or is that later?
I
Because they
don't.
tried calling Collect later on.
I can't remember.
That might be later.
I think
on.
it's later. But then it cuts to Pikachu. Pikachu sees the Pokeballs in the sand. And then this is interesting. I don't think we've gotten it up to this point, but we get subtitles for the Pokemon talking.
So this is a really interesting situation. When I first watched this, well, I guess not first watches, but for this watch through, I was convinced that there's no way they had subtitles in the Japanese version because, like, they probably just thought Americans are dumb and needed the subtitles. And so I went to the Japanese version, and they had subtitles as well.
Did they?
I was very surprised by that for two reasons. One, just because I thought they assume Americans dumb. And then two, because in future episodes where it is focused on the Pokemon and the Pokemon are essentially the star of the episode, they never have subtitles. They just do Pokemon noises, and then Meowth will be there to talk human language as well. And I expected that to be this episode, and then they started like having subtitles. I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
See, I expected that as well, because even going back to prior episodes where, like, when Caterpie and Pikachu were broing out.
Yes, exactly.
And
yes.
it was
they do
like,
a little bit then too.
There's no subtitles there. I mean, one can kind of infer just from watching.
And that was what the point is for later episodes when they do the same thing, and then also have Meowth is there to kind of be the go-between as well.
He's like the mediator of the conversation.
And they definitely use that in this episode as well as the subtitles, which is interesting. But I think this is one of the only, if not the only episode that uses these kind of subtitle things.
Yeah. So the Pokemon are all out. I believe it's Pikachu, like it's the main Pikachu, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Charmander. I mean, is anyone else there? I can't even remember.
It's just the starters
Just
and
the starters.
Pikachu.
So they're walking along and they see a Slowpoke and they start talking to the Slowpoke. Nothing. And is this the first introduction to Slowpoke as well?
I think so.
'Cause I don't remember Slowpoke.
It's such a weird scene.
Yeah, it really is weird, and that's the only reason I was bringing it up.
I love it because like you see Squirtle and Bulbasaur, and they're just watching Charmander or Pikachu trying to talk this thing. I just like, what the freak is happening? They're just freaking vibing, dude, just watching this guy.
Yeah. So, what did I even write here, Funs? So, okay, so that was another thing I wanted to talk about too, though, is when I first watched Pokemon, I watched it completely out of order because I only had VHS tapes, and maybe some of you youngins don't even know what that is, but I had select VHS
Do you guys
tapes.
even know what a phone booth is?
Hey,
I watched that.
I've seen clips of Doctor Who.
That's a police box.
You're right, it is.
Yeah. But I guess where I was going was this was like a throwback for me for my childhood because I had an episode of, I believe it was on the movie, one of the movies. Before the movie starts, there's like it's just a half an episode or the 12-minute episode of, it's like Pikachu's Adventure or something, and they go through like
they're like the early episodes or the early movies are always Pikachu Adventure stuff.
Okay. So this one in particular, I'm pretty sure that Pikachu goes on an adventure through like a giant tree, and you see a bunch of Gen 2 Pokemon that I didn't even know.
Typically in those Pikachu adventures, they don't have subtitles.
they don't.
Exactly.
They
and
don't
there's
have
no
subtitles.
words either. That's why I expected this. Now you see where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
Okay,
totally.
cool.
But it was just a lot of fun. Like, I love seeing the Pokemon just go be homies. And the fact that we got subtitles, I'm kind of a fan of, because it's like I actually know what they're saying.
And don't worry, we'll watch those little Pikachu adventures before the movies when we do the movie episodes as well. So look forward to that.
I'm excited for that.
Actually, speaking of band episodes, one of the Pikachu adventures was actually like...
It was the Jinx one, right?
No, it was the Pichu one. Like, think before...
Pichu one's not banned.
One of them is. I think, no, one of them involving Pichu for the movie specials was no longer in circulation because the announcer was arrested for drug possession.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I had that VHS, though. I remember the
Yeah.
Pichu episode. That was my favorite one as a kid.
Yeah, it's banned in Japan, not essentially in America because of the dub.
There was
different,
a
but in Japan, it's...
One of the specials is a Jinx related one, which is a quote unquote banned episode.
If they ever decide to re-release it, they're gonna have to redub it because Japan takes drug use very seriously.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Sky.
So this is another reason why I really like the subtitles. I think it's fun. Was Squirtle, when he's just broing out with Bulbasaur, was like, "Hey, maybe Ash and everyone else got eaten." Ha 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 ha. And it's like, you know what kind of guy Squirtle is? That's how he deals with death. Is he just jokes about it?
He just jokes about it. He's the guy who's just like, guys, maybe the worst possible thing happened, and then it's okay when it doesn't, right?
Yeah. But then Pikachu stands up and he's like, "No, you're wrong. Ash is looking for us, and we're gonna find him too." Then Meowth shows up. He's with all the Pokemon, and then Ekans and Coughing hit Meowth with like some freaking deep philosophy where they're like, Meowth's freaking out. He's talking about like Pokemon being bad and whatnot, and Ekans and Coughing are like, "Yo, Pokemon aren't bad, their masters are." It's like, dang.
And then Meowth just goes, "Wait, I'm never with my master though. Why am I bad?" One thing I want to point out with Ekans and Coughing subtitles is they really go out of the way to make Ekans and Coughing seem like they're just idiots.
Yeah.
Like, their subtitles are always very like 3 or 4 words, and like they're missing some words.
kind of a
all the other
broken
Pokemon
English.
are just fine. Like they speak normally, and then Coughing's over here like caveman, like, "Oh, bad Pokemon, no, trainer bad." I'm just like, why? Why'd you make them stupid? They're not dumb.
So all the Pokemon are chilling around a campfire, and then out of nowhere, we see a giant Rhydon. I believe it's a Rhydon. A giant Rhydon shows up, and then we see a giant Zapdos flying over, and then a Moltres as well. And it's like, what the freak are these giant, massive Pokemon? So all the Pokemon are freaking out, and they're sad. They're like, "Where's our masters? Why is there these giant Pokemon? We're freaking hungry." So they... Oh, I guess this was... I think it cut. I think it cut to Ash and the other guys. They saw the giant Pokemon first.
Yeah.
Because then it cuts back to the Pokemon.
And they're wasted.
Yeah, they're over at
They're
Slowbro's,
hammered,
the
dude.
Slowpoke shop. They're like, we're getting drunk. We want some food. Where's our masters?
Yeah.
We're sad.
Okay, I wanted to point this out as well. This is honestly like my last really big thought on this episode. I don't have a lot on this episode, but I wanted to point out that Bulbasaur was the one who constantly brought up that Ash abandoned us. Why? Why Bulbasaur? He was never abandoned by a trainer. If anything, Charmander and Squirtle should have been the ones saying Ash abandoned us, because they've had experience in history with being abandoned by their trainers.
But maybe that's why, because he didn't really know. So he's like, maybe this is his first
I guess,
experience. So
yeah,
he's
I
like,
can
maybe
see
he
that.
abandoned us. He's gone. Where is he? Because since he was with Ash, I don't think he's been apart from him.
That's true. That's a good point. So maybe, yeah, that's not a bad way to look at it. I was just completely thrown off from the whole thing. I'm just like, if anyone, those ones would be having this issue, but you're probably right on that. It's probably just because it's the first time alone.
So we cut back over to Jesse and James, and they get a hold of their boss in the phone booth, And he hangs up because they start saying their intro over the phone instead of ask for help.
Giovanni just like screw these dudes.
If for some reason the music is playing through the phone, like he had a jukebox right there.
Like he pressed it, though. It was coming from his end.
Giovanni pressed it for him.
So what they start doing is they're like, oh, well, the phone works. Let's just follow this wire. So they, instead of getting out of the phone booth and following the wire, they're just dragging.
Well, it's scary. They don't want to get out of the booth.
Yeah, because of the giant Pokemon.
Giant Pokemon.
But they just start dragging themselves in this phone booth. Then later, a giant Pikachu shows up. Then big Charizard, big Blastoise. There's giant Pokemon everywhere. What the freak's going on? And then the Pokemon, cut back to our little Pokemon, they're talking to him, and they look at Squirtle and they're like, yo, like your brother's with that guy.
Yeah.
Like, can you go?
You go talk to him.
you go talk to him.
He's like your family. Go.
Yeah. So
He goes out.
yeah, Squirrel goes out there, tries to ask for help, and then Blastoise shoots a big beam. Big Venusaur shows up.
Yeah, they tell Bulbasaur to do the same thing. Bulbasaur just goes, no.
Bulbasaur.
No, I'm not doing that.
Because he's like, hey, Bulbasaur, you're family too. And then this is what Bulbasaur says. He says, call me an orphan. I have no family. I was like, dang, dude. Freaking hitting him. He's hitting it. He's dropping it.
He's just like, F you guys. I'm not doing that. I'm going to die if I do that. I'm an orphan.
Yeah. So at this point, all the three groups, the Pokemon, Ash and Misty and Brock, and Jesse and James, there's giant Pokemon everywhere. Everyone's freaking out. They don't know what to do. Well, Jesse and James find a rail cart, and they get in it, and they are expecting to go one way, but then they pull the lever, and it starts taking them back towards the giant Pokemon that are chasing them. And I thought it was really funny and goofy. But the rail cart ends up tripping the giant Kabutops.
Yeah, because it's pulling the telephone cord.
Yeah. And then this rail cart, mind you, like is on a flat. I don't even know how it's going, but it's going fast, and it's dragging this giant Kabutops.
And then it gets the Pikachu too.
Yeah,
it
ends
trips
up,
them both.
Yeah, it trips up the big Pikachu, and then Ash, Misty, and Brock, they fall into the rail cart.
It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, and the one part that I thought was interesting is in the middle of the roller coaster, there's just this giant loop-de-loop with there's no stability or structure.
No reason why either.
Yeah,
it's just there, flat ground. Let's put a loop here.
Yeah.
How else were they going to make us so the Pokemon could catch up to them? Because they see their little buddies run alongside.
They're like, oh, let's put a loop-de-loop in there. It'll slow them down.
That'll slow them down just enough.
Yeah. Then the Pokemon jump in. Now everyone's reunited. Everybody's happy. But what I thought was funny, not even funny, maybe it's sad, is Ash hugged Pikachu, and then everyone else hugged the other Pokemon.
Well, okay, so throughout the episode, Misty would call for Squirtle, Ash called for Pikachu, obviously, and Brock would call for Charmander and Bulbasaur, and those are who they all hugged at the end of the episode. So that's why. So they had the forethought to do that, but it is kind of weird because they're all Ash's Pokemon anyway.
Yeah. So after that, everyone's reunited, and then Zapdos flies over, and I believe the rail cart shoots
hit a jump.
They hit a jump. Freaking take out Zapdos.
There's a whole little section. James is just narrating what's going to happen. He's just like, based on our luck, this is what's going to happen next. And then it happens. And then this is going to happen next. And then it happens. And it is so funny to me. I could not stop laughing at this part. I don't know why James narrating everything right before it happened was hilarious to me, but it just kept going.
Destiny, because they've gone through it.
They blasted off again enough. They know.
Yeah. So they take out the Zapdos. Turns out to be a robot. And then do we find out in this episode where they are exactly?
Yeah,
yes,
right at the end.
Oh, so yeah, at the end it turns out. Oh, that's right, because Giovanni was freaking out.
Yeah, he was like, "That was my Pokemon land.
I spent so much money
on it."
So it turns out they're on basically Jurassic Park for Pokemon.
Jurassic Pokemon.
Yeah, except
Pokemon Park.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the name. That's literally what it's called.
Yeah. So then the gang makes it to Porta Vista, and it's the beach episode. But before we get to the beach episode, Slowpoke, he put his tail in the water.
Put it back in.
And then it got bit. And I loved how he's like, Slowpoke? Looks at the camera. Slow bro.
Slow bro.
And I'm like, what the hell?
One of the interesting things about that is right at the very beginning of this episode, when the camera's panning across the beach, it shows a shelter shell, a shelter shell, but not like the shelter Pokemon shell, but the shelter that bites the Slowpoke shell.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like a little foreshadow as well. So I thought that was kind of fun.
Interesting.
Is that actually a shelter on there?
It's technically a shelter.
Looks so
It
different.
looks literally nothing like
Yeah.
a shelter, but technically it's supposed to be a shelter. Like lore-wise, that is a shelter.
What the hell?
Yep. Very dumb. Very confusing, but that's what it is.
Is that how it evolve? How do you evolve
a
it in the
shelter?
games?
A shelter bites on his. Oh, in the games, it's just evolution from like a stone or level.
That's weird.
Like,
Shelter doesn't evolve into anything, does it?
Shelter evolves in Cloister.
Oh, Cloister.
Yeah. Like Slowpoke's like level 37, it goes into Slowbro, or you give it a Sunstone and it's Slowking.
I don't even remember what Cloister looks like.
Wait, is it a Sunstone? It might be a King's Crest thing, and it might be Trait Evolution. I don't know. Regardless, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
It's just a sideways clam thing, and then it's
Yeah.
got like two spike things
Oh.
that in the games it shoots ice beam out of.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Oh, I had a thought. I don't really remember.
That was the end of the episode.
Anyway, that's
by
the end of the
way.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll take a break now. Probably.
Yeah.
We've been about 35 minutes, so we'll be right back for the rest of the episodes, which is the first band episode. Ooh, the beach episode, like Sky said. I'm excited.
I wonder what's
Doesn't
gonna
Cloister have a
happen.
pearl? Isn't it have the pearl?
Yeah, its whole face is like the
Oh,
pearl
yeah.
in the
Oh,
middle
yeah,
thing.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, well, I'm done talking. Your turn. Go.
Cut it. Hey guys.
I'm sorry. I
He
can't
did
do it.
God.
He did the slap too. He just
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get right back into it.
right back into
Uh.
the news.
All right, here it comes with episode 18. We're just jumping right to the gate. This is one of the weirder episodes, man.
Honestly, real talk though, like of the next 3 episodes, this one's the best of the 3.
Yeah.
This one's not a terrible
This one-
episode.
I won't even say best. Just say this one's unhinged. This was
Well,
just bonkers.
Also, to preface too, though, and you guys obviously probably felt the same because we've seen so much anime. But with the context of understanding anime, this is a tame episode.
Oh, totally.
yeah.
Tame. So I have a question really quick. Thane showed me the dub version of this episode. Did you watch it dubbed or sub?
I watched this sub.
You watch it fully
Yeah, I watched
subbed.
it sub too because I assume you guys watched
Oh,
it sub.
freak. I'm so glad I watched it dubbed then because there's a banger of a
Oh,
line.
that's good.
I'm so excited. I got a couple lines from this episode. Yeah, I've got at least
Okay,
2
I'm,
lines.
I'm
So
curious
here's
to
the-
know what the dub is for one specific part.
Okay.
Here's the weird backstory about this. So this episode was skipped over in the initial dubbing process
From 4Kids.
from 4Kids, and then 4Kids went back, trimmed some stuff we'll talk about later, and aired it twice on Kids WB as the lost episode. But since then they haven't included in on Netflix or streaming or DVDs. They kind of left it out.
If I'm not mistaken, it's literally like half a second of one scene and then an entire scene later on. And
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also there's a real I'll get into it.
We'll
but
get into it. Let's start over. Let's start from
anyways,
the
so
beginning.
they come to I can't remember the place's name.
Porta Vista.
Porta Vista.
Anime exclusive area, by the way.
Yeah.
Not in the games.
Pretty cool. So Ash and group were like, yeah, let's go to the beach. Yeah, and the boys strip off their
They
shirts.
get naked.
And then
I mean, with trunks,
yeah.
swim trunks.
and then here
Except for
comes
Pikachu,
Misty,
that
who's like
rapscallion. Naked Pikachu.
Misty, and subs like the beautiful Kasumi is here because her name's Kasumi.
Kasumi in the sub.
And then literally Ash low-key roasts her and says, wow, I kind of forget you're a girl.
So in the dub, it's the same interaction except for Misty doesn't say it's the beautiful Misty. She
Yeah.
just says something
I
like,
thought you-
"Look, it's the beach, yay!" or something like that.
I thought you guys were waiting by the snack bar or something like that.
Yeah.
I kind of skimmed through the dub too.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, and she literally just punches him in the ocean. He drowns.
Yeah, it's very like if you've ever read or watched Love Hina, that's the kind of vibes I get from this
Yeah.
episode of Love Hina.
Yeah, Love Hina is such a bad show.
I read the whole manga. I know.
Yeah.
least it wasn't
Talk about that on
strawberry
another
100%.
show. Anyways,
I dropped that.
so Ash literally GTs a boat, and they don't
Oh
know
my
it.
gosh! Why does he just steal it?
Yeah, it's like, and then it's like, wait, did you see you driving? And then Brock's like, wait, Pikachu said he could drive it or something. That's like, what?
They're just pointing fingers.
Yeah. Ash in the dub, it's like Ash goes, or Misty goes, Ash, why'd you get on the boat? He's like, well, I saw Brock get on the boat, and Brock goes, well, I saw Pikachu get on the boat.
It's like a who's who game. And meanwhile, Team Rocket are approaching Porta Vista in a Mecha Gyarados, which is really fat and ugly.
It's like a Mega Gyarados,
Yeah.
literally.
Like a
later
yeah.
on.
freaking Gyarados
Then-
on wheels.
And then as they're driving, like, the boat breaks or something, and they crash into the Mecha Gyarados and crash into a dock.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a freaking 80s movie or something. like a freaking God, I can't remember his name. Anyways, Transformers guy.
Shia LaBeouf.
No, the director.
Matt Damon. J.J. Abrams. No, it's
It's the guy that likes explosions.
Yeah. God. Oh God. Be
my
all
Say
day.
it! Say it!
My head's
Say it,
melting.
Thane! Say it!
Why can't I remember his name? I'm blanking on it so
Um,
bad. Okay, I think
Michael Bay. Michael Bay.
He crashed to like a Michael Bay movie. There we go. Anyways, the old man was like, "What the f did you do to my boat?"
Like, that's my boat and my dog.
Yeah, my boat and my dock, man. And then, literally, it's
Hold
like,
on, before we go into it though, like, where did they go? Did they just go like this and then?
yeah,
That's what
I
they
don't
did.
know.
That's totally what they did. Nobody knows how to drive a boat.
They made one left turn right back
And then-
to the same dock.
And then it's like, oh, like I can't remember, but it's like, oh, Misty said we could ride or something.
Yeah,
and
he
then,
puts Misty in front.
and then in the subtitle version, he literally says this line, like he not only does he guess Misty's age, but he blushed and said, "I'll look forward to you in 8 years."
Oh my
Freaking
gosh.
dirty old man.
The
He's
dub
like,
just
what
says
the hell?
the dub there just says, "Oh, you remind me of my granddaughter." So they
Oh,
made it a lot more wholesome.
That's
Why-
very
while he was
sweet.
blushing.
I think they might have taken off the blushes. I
Yeah,
didn't notice
it's
the
like,
blushes.
Oh God, yeah, like old men in most Japanese media are just like creepy as hell.
Creepy, horny perverts.
So yeah, they said, "Oh, we'll pay off the boat. Yeah, we'll help you." And then Team Rocket also washes up, and there's this old lady who has like that Japanese tick where she goes like "bye bye." But in the dub, I don't think they have the tick.
They
Yeah.
don't. They
Yeah.
don't. They don't. Have
And
the-
she's
the
like,
Baba
"What are you
thing.
doing on my pier?" It's like. Team Rocket's like, "Oh, we'll work for you." It's like, okay.
This is such
Yeah.
a classic anime trope that you see so much in those classic animes where they work for the beach restaurant.
Yeah.
I've seen it in so many different things. I'm almost positive it was in Love Hina at one point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty dang positive. it
Every
was when I think about
romance
it.
anime, pretty much every anime with a beach episode, there was
Yeah.
like, let's work at the butt.
Let's work at the
And we'll be in
There's
bikinis
even-
and get people to buy food.
The freaking
yeah.
the anime Squid Girl is just about working at a hut.
Yep.
Yeah. So Team Rocket and Ash and group, they're working at the hut while Team Rocket, they're stealing all the business. And then Ash's like, "I know, let's use our Pokemon." Throw out the Pokemon. Business is racking up.
Business booming.
Yeah, business booming. They have their little flyers throwing them out.
So I got a
then-
question real quick. Sorry to interject. In Japan, do they use the English names of Pokemon, or
No.
do they use the
No,
Japanese?
they have their own.
They have their own names.
Every time I heard Squirtle's like
Zenigo, something like that.
yeah,
and
something
then
like that.
Bulbasaur's like Fushigi something.
Yeah, Fukishi desu ne, I think
Something
that's it.
like that. Something like that. Pikachu is Pikachu.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pikachu,
There
Pikachu.
are some that are.
all
they
the
have
all the
crossover.
electric rats are like the same.
I don't
name.
know if that's true. I just know
Kind of.
Pikachu is. All of the legendaries have the same English name around every single language. That's one of the things they've always been
Yeah,
persistent about. Is every legendary is the same all the way around. But then like Charizard in Japan is Lizardon. Lizardon. I don't know how to say
Lizardo.
it.
Like, it's just
Lizardon.
literally lizard.
Lizardon.
Yeah.
Lizardon. But yeah. So they
I-
got.
I mean, it makes sense because like there's some Pokemon where it's kind of a play on their design, and I'm sure it
Yeah.
doesn't translate good.
Yeah. Some of them are just like Zapdos is just thunder.
Yeah,
Nice.
Thunder.
It's just thunder.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I guess the Gen 1 legendaries do have different names.
So then, what you're
But
telling me...
after that, they were consistent.
What you're telling me is that the English names are better.
A little bit.
Some.
Is that because
very
I'm an
I mean,
English
we also
speaker?
have Seal. So like,
Yeah.
whoever
you're
came up
right.
with that one,
You're right. You're right.
We also have Pidgey.
that's not bad though.
Yeah.
That's not terrible. So one more thing I wanted to point out. This is one of the quotes. The group gets a glimpse of Team Rocket working at the other building, and they're all dressed up in their uniforms. And Brock goes, "Wow, Jesse looks pretty good in that uniform too." I was like, "Brock, you freaking horn dog, stop it! Just
But
stop."
he's right.
Um,
Is Jessie best girl?
Maybe.
maybe. So they noticed that those Team Rocket noticed that business is going over to them, and I like how in the logic where it's like business fluctuates, like
Fast.
yeah, fast.
Yeah, that fast.
Yeah. And so Meowth's like, I got an idea, and he just screws everything up.
Just
for them.
sabotages
Yeah.
them.
It's like almost causes a small fire in the freaking kitchen.
Yeah, dude, he freaking throws
Yeah.
oil in their
Yeah.
fire. What the freak me out?
Charmander and then the old man are just getting
Yeah.
burned, dude. Literally fried.
So then it's revealed that and then the old lady comes and reveals that she's the antagonist of the episode, and she's dressed like a little girl for some reason. Probably trying to look young, or I don't know. But anyways, like, you owe me money. If you don't get the money, I'll take your boat. And then it's like, oh no, not the boat. And he reveals, I always wanted to go to sailing around on the old boat. And then around the world in the old boat. It's like, oh, that's sad.
It's a freaking yacht.
And he's like, what am I gonna do? And then out of nowhere, here comes Professor Oak
with Ash's
with
mom.
with Ash's mom, with Delilah Ketchum.
Delia.
However you pronounce it. I always pronounce it Delilah, but whatever.
So Ash goes, I don't know how this is in the subs, but Ash goes, "Why are you two here?" And Professor Oak goes, "I'll explain later."
Yeah.
And he never does.
Well, he
Delia
explains in the-
says something later, but like
There's a scene. There's a scene where Professor Oak has his arm around her.
Oh, I
and
didn't
I was
see
like,
that part.
up. I did the whole freaking
Leonardo.
yeah. Because
Everyone theorizes, but it's
I
gotta be
remember
true,
because
right?
I watched it. It was like up, and I had to rewind it, and I'm like, no way.
He actually had his arm.
Then if
He had
you
his
think
arm
about
around.
it,
But it's like you have to look through her armpit crack to see that his arm is behind
Oh.
her. Yeah, it was one of those. Up.
So I will say it is confirmed that Ash does have a dad. By the way, in these last the newest episodes, like they make reference to his dad at one point in one of these episodes. So his dad exists,
But it's not Professor Oak.
not Professor Oak.
Yeah.
No, because then he'd be related to Gary. He'd be Gary's.
cousin.
No,
Because it's Professor Oak's.
he'd be
Nephew.
Gary's.
It's Professor Oak's nephew.
No, it's Professor Oak's grandson. So
Oh,
it'd be
grandson.
Gary's like uncle.
Oh,
Uncle Dad?
Yo,
Yeah.
Uncle
Dad?
Uncle.
like
Uncle.
JoJo in a way.
Yeah, it'd be like JoJo. Anyway, sorry, you can go ahead then. Keep going on. The boat. They don't want to lose the boat.
So Oak's like, oh, I got an idea, bro. I got an idea, boys. And it's let's hold a beauty contest. Is that what it is in the
A
dub?
beauty pageant, yeah,
Yeah, beauty
contest.
pageant. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. So they get all the beautiful ladies on the beach together. They throw out the flyers, and it's like they're getting all the beach. And then as they're sitting in the stands waiting for the show, Delia, however you pronounce it, I don't know.
Delia.
That's it. Delia.
Delia.
Yeah.
I've always pronounced it Delilah. I don't know.
It's Delia.
Okay. So apparently, reason she says there is because they're part of the neighborhood committee.
Yeah, and they were on a vacation or
Yeah,
something.
It's like what
That's what they say in the dub too.
the sub was really weird. It's like what? It's like they were missing a crucial part. It's like I'm part of their watch committee. That's why I'm here. It's like what?
Yeah, so the dub just says like, yeah, we're a part of the neighborhood committee, and we were going on to like a vacation together or something.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, whatever. And then Ash is like, yeah, I've been doing good, Mom. And then the old man's like, yeah, he's a good kid, even though he wrecked his boat.
He's a good kid. He's helping me get money.
He's sticking up for him. Like, dang, old man.
Good guy, old man.
And then Brock is there commentating.
He's
like,
announcer.
welcome to the beauty pageant. Let's see all the hotties.
Yeah.
And out comes Misty, who's 10 years old, by the way.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, woo!
So does Misty say anything right here?
I don't remember.
I think she's like, hi, everybody. Yeah. I remember I skimmed through the dub. She's like, wow, this is totally embarrassing.
The dub is hilarious. I'll read it. I'll quote it. This is the funniest line in the whole episode. She goes, "This is totally embarrassing and degrading, but we need the money."
Yeah.
I started dying at that line. She
But
knows
we need
it.
the money.
She knows. Yes, just the fact that she ends with "but we need the money."
I wrote in my. I forgot. I wrote in my notes. It said, "Misty is 10. This isn't a child pageant, you effing pervs."
So I think before she goes, like before it even starts, though, Jesse and James show up.
That's in between.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
after
is it?
this line.
Okay,
After this
go
one.
ahead. Go ahead then.
Oh shoot. So, as she's doing it, they have like partner Pokemon, and it's like Squirtle and
Squirtle and
Staryu, whatever, are like a UFO, and then
Yeah,
That was cool.
I
Not
didn't
bad,
know. I didn't
not
know
bad.
that Starmie and Staryu could fly.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
can fly.
Freaking hover.
Then,
I'm like, wait, what?
it's
They're
probably
psychic, so
It's probably what the
Makes
gem
sense.
is for. And so then Jesse and James pops out. James is literally have inflatable boobs.
he got some big old
They
boobies.
look great, mind you. They look great.
It's like this
Fooled
is
me.
even in Japan. This is a
Fooled me.
kid show. Jeez,
And he blows them up a little
Yeah.
bit. Too.
Yeah.
it's like what though?
And the
What?
facial expressions they give Misty in this moment is really, really funny because she's just like reacting to him blowing him up and stuff like that.
It's like
You don't see much of that. You don't see that kind of facial expression animation much until like the Sun and Moon arc. Honestly, like it's pretty crazy. They went all out for this episode. You could tell those animators they liked this episode.
Rightfully
Yeah.
so.
and yeah, that happened. And and then the like, oh, here's the partner Pokemon. It's like something. It's like supposed to be a legendary Pokemon. And then Gary comes out of nowhere. Here's all the cameos. Gary comes out. It's like, hey, here's all my girlfriends, bro.
He's got a
He brings like 6 girls with
Yeah.
him. That's his pageant thing. He shows all 6 of them off.
And then Jesse and James like, we're gonna lose the beauty pageant. Quick, activate the plan. And they go to the Mecha Gyarados and launch a missile, committing another act of terrorism. We should get acts of terrorism counter on these guys. They should be put on a watch list.
Yeah, they're sussy.
And then it's like,
was-
oh
that
no,
was
they're
a
gonna
little
blow up the
cringe, I'm sorry.
They're gonna blow up the pageant. And then Gary's like, Ash, throw out your Charizard. And no, someone points out that, hey, I heard missiles can be.
Yeah, somebody just says it casually.
Yeah, I heard missiles can be like screwed up by fire. And then Gary's
Wait, that's what they say in the dub or the sub?
yeah.
Okay, that makes so much more sense because in the dub, Gary is just egging him on. He's like, "What are you gonna do now, Ash?" He's like, "I don't know, Charmander. Like, go get it. It's a heat-seeking missile, so hit it with fire."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, I guess.
And-
I was so
and-
confused by that, but yours makes a little bit
and
more
Gary-
sense.
It's still bad. Not
Yeah.
as bad as that, but it was just like
Yeah.
some random person's like, yo, it's heat seeking.
Well, this
Yeah.
Brock goes, Ash, I think it's a heat-seeking missile, and then he just sends Charmander out without any explanation. He just has Charmander burn it up, which for some reason doesn't blow it up to begin with. But like, I was so confused why he even did that. So yours makes a little
maybe
more,
it was
a little
maybe
more
it was
sense.
Brock
Yeah.
that said it then.
For his reason, Gary's encouraged. He's like, Ash, show your skills. And he's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
He does
go.
the same.
Go
It's
Charizard, and then it launch the fire, and then blows up Team Rocket.
Yeah, the
just
missile decides to
redirects
turn
it,
around and
not how missiles work, whatever.
it like flipped a switch in there. You see the little light turn
No,
on?
so you should be dead, whatever.
Yeah, they should have been
That
dead.
bit's old.
We'll do it when it's egregious, I guess. We can bring up that bit when it's egregious, like they should be dead.
So the pageant ends. It's like, we're going on next journey. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Professor Oak.
Well, they didn't
And
need
then-
they didn't need to save the day anymore with the
Yeah.
money because
Yeah.
the rocket
Oh,
blew
yeah.
up the other people's place.
Oh yeah, then sorry, I'm skipping. Then the rocket also, like, they run into the rocket that blows up that old lady's place.
Yeah, so everything
Yeah.
worked out.
Yeah, everything
the bad
worked
guys
out.
got their just desserts.
And then the old man sails away on the boat. It's like, bye, I'll see you later. It's symbolism for him dying.
So did
Just kidding.
did
I'm just
Ash's
kidding.
mom win the
I
beauty
don't
contest?
know.
Because she
So-
had
I
a
don't
trophy.
know. She had the trophy.
So
What?
Here's the
She
thing.
had
I
the
looked it
trophy.
up. It's like, what does this mean? And in the dub, they have number one first place winner Ash Ketchum in our hearts. It's like, what?
I don't remember that at all.
I looked it up on like the Bulbapedia thing,
What
and
the
it said
heck?
the picture. It said, "Win first place winner Ash Ketchum in our hearts."
It did
It's
not
like,
explain
what?
that like at all. So I was hoping you guys would
Yeah.
have like an
I
insight
couldn't
on
read
that.
Japanese since it was written in Japanese. Like, what the heck?
I mean,
It's like
I
Ash's
just
mom
said that
didn't
she
even-
won.
But I assume she won too.
Ash's mom didn't even participate in the pageant. Why?
Well, they like to show off her assets at the around, so
Ash's
There's no
mom
point
is
in
hot.
having. There's no point in having a winner.
I like
because-
hot moms.
There's no point in having a winner because they didn't need the money anymore. So, anyways, what a weird episode.
what a weird episode.
Yeah.
And episode 19 is in a sense a sequel. Like
Yeah.
it literally directly follows this episode.
So here's a fun fact.
Go for it.
Since the incidents involved destroying of buildings,
Yes.
KWB banned this. So because after 9/11, because
Yeah. So this episode aired, and then it was taken out of rotation due to the 9/11 attacks. And then after a while, they brought it back
Yeah.
into rotation.
it also happened with an episode of Cowboy Bebop with the Teddy Bomber.
Yeah.
Adult Swim pulled that from air.
During that time, there was a lot of like different
Yeah.
medias that had to be
Um,
edited or changed or whatever. Like Lilo
even-
and Stitch got a huge change.
There's even one episode of SpongeBob that was rumored to be changed. It was the one with the buckets, like
Yeah.
with the Squidward.
I know
obsessed
even
Krabby
like
Patties,
Metal
yeah.
Gear Solid got changed too.
Yes, it
so
got
like
heavily changed. The plot.
so many
at the
things
end.
got changed just
Yeah.
because of that, which is honestly a good idea, but
Yeah.
it's kind of rough that they had to. But anyway, so this episode deals with a lot of tentacle, a lot of tentacruel, I guess just one tentacruel, and
Yeah.
there is some destruction of buildings, which is seen in the intro of every single episode of the anime. So that's essentially what we're getting to. But before we get to that, our group is stuck on the island. They want to get off, but they miss the boat, so they can't. As they're sitting there contemplating about getting onto the next boat, the boat that just sailed away blows up. Interesting callback to the previous episode where the boat crashed.
Yeah, it was
but
pretty dark.
it was very dark. So this whole episode's kind of dark, but Ash decides to go help those people, that the survivors of that boat wreck. They help them out. They bring the crew back to their boss. Their boss talks about how these tentacruel have been attacking them ever since they started building this hotel on the water, essentially destroying their home. And Misty's not having it. Misty, for some reason, likes these tentacle because she loves water. She's got a water fetish, essentially. And Ash and Brock are just like, nah, bro, that's an L. You're taking an L, Misty.
These
These
are
are ugly. These
ugly
suck.
slime ball
These are
jellyfish.
bad. That's a big L, Misty. Anyway, the boss of this construction group, which, by the way, you don't know this right now, but she's clearly the sister of the previous bad guy in the previous episode. They look literally exactly the same. They're
Yeah.
supposed to be twin
The
sisters.
dub, I was so confused, so I watched that, but the dub never explains it because they skipped over it, so you don't really have knowledge of
You
it.
see it right at the very end of
But
the
in
episode.
the sub, it makes sense because, like, hey, you look like that one chick, and it's
Yeah.
like I'm her sister.
They
Yeah.
don't explain it, but at the
Yeah.
very end of the episode, that you'll see it. Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll get there in a second. So the boss says, "Okay, everybody go attack these tentacruel, and I'll give you a bunch of money. Whoever wins, whoever takes them out." Team Rocket decides to help out because they also want money. They go in to attack, and during the attack, one of the tentacle evolves into a massive, enormous tentacruel. I don't know why this one got to
Remember-
evolve and become so big,
I
but
remember the Pokedex entry. It said they're like
the gangsters of the sea.
gangsta.
gangsters of the sea.
Gangsta.
Yeah.
There was no hard R. It was gangsta.
Gangstas of the
The
sea.
gangsters of the sea.
Thanks, Dexter.
You must be the gang leader.
So the tentacruel starts wreaking havoc. They destroy Team Rocket. They take over Meowth. One of the tentacle brainwashes the Meowth,
can
and that's
do
how they
that?
talk. Apparently, I mean they can have psychic powers, so I guess. But
so
okay.
weird.
They start destroying the town, and our heroes find a way to stop it. They send out their Pokemon because they want to give it a shot. You got the whole squad being carried by the flying Pokemon, and they're flying around attacking it. It's honestly like Godzilla in that sense, or excuse me, King King Kong. That's what I meant to say. It's like King Kong in that sense. They're flying around the thing like King Kong, and at one point, Misty escapes and tries to go help too. Pikachu has this little heart-to-heart with a Tentacruel. Oh, I forgot about this entire subplot. There's a horsey. The entire time. Right from the get-go, there's a horsey trying to tell him about the Tentacruel. Misty likes the horsey because it's cute and it's water.
It's a dragon type.
Not yet. It's just water type. Yeah. It doesn't turn dragon until Kingdra in Gen 2. Yeah. Anyway, the horsey at one point tries to go talk with the Tentacruel. It says no. It says, F you, horsey, get out of here. And they save the horsey.
Didn't
Ash
they
does.
mention that something about dragons? Like, look, it's a dragon Pokemon. Oh, yeah, the Pokedex says something about dragon Pokemon. I think.
I'm lost.
Yeah, like, it mentions
about
that
the horsey?
Yeah, it mentions that
I could see it. I mean, like, they probably had an idea of making it a dragon later on, so.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it does mention, like, the dragon horse
the
Pokemon.
sea or something?
Dragon of the sea, yeah. That's what it said.
Anyway, so Pikachu talks to Tentacruel, has this big moment where it goes, Pee Pee Pikachu! Kind of like that. Very emotional Pikachu noises. And Misty also does her emotional noises at the Tentacruel.
Words.
And Tentacruel takes it all in stride and says, you know what? You guys aren't so bad. I won't kill you anymore. He starts going away. And the big boss lady is like, you know what? F you, Tentacruel. Eat a bazooka.
Yeah.
She shoots at it. It does nothing to the Tentacruel. Tentacruel decides to kill her, kills her, and continues off into the ocean. Everybody's like, bye, Tentacruel. Bye, Tentacruel.
Thanks for destroying our city.
But also thanks for not killing
tentacle
us.
possessing people would be like sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah, it's scary. Ash and Brock and Misty, they all get onto the next boat. They start taking off and heading out. And right at the very end of the episode, you see the lady that Tentacruel killed flying from the sky and crash land into that lady from last episode's restaurant, destroying it once again. And they're like, what are you doing back here, sister? Or something. At this point I checked out. I don't really know what they were saying.
It was kind of weird how she had like manservants with like long hair and no shirt.
Yeah. She had like manservants and like Speedos and
it's like what the
They
hell?
look like dollar discount James.
Yeah. I see that totally.
Like Toy Story, how they recycle Andy with all those kids. If you look close enough.
So real talk, I remember this episode quite a lot when I was a kid. I think I probably had the VHS that covered the scary episode from my childhood all the way to like this episode and the next or so. Because these episodes as group, I remember very strongly in my mind. So I had to have had the VHS. Regardless, this episode kind of sucks. Yeah. It wasn't great. And the next one is even worse, in my opinion. What do you got for us, Sky?
Before we jump into it, kind of going back to what you were saying about how Misty was in love with these Tentacruel, and she got really mad at Nastina, who was the chick.
That was her name?
Yeah, her name was Nastina.
Oh my gosh. Come on, dub writers. Be a little bit more.
And I think they never mentioned her name, but like the other lady's name, like Brunhilde or something.
Yeah, literally. But what I thought was funny and also very hypocritical of Misty is Nastina called the Tentacruel despicable, and Misty was like, "How dare you? These are Pokemon. They're beautiful." And I was like thinking back, Misty, you called Caterpie disgusting and ruined it emotionally.
It's because it's water types, guys. Water's okay.
Like, oh, you
She's
bitch.
a simp for the water.
She is a simp for the water type.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to quickly get through episode 20, which is called The Ghost of Maiden's Peak, because like Cole mentioned, it was kind of a dumpy.
Yo, I didn't like this episode as a kid. I still think it's kind of a dumpy of an episode still.
Nothing happens. Freaking Brock and James.
It's the real
J.O.
Here's the thing. On the website I watched, they marked that episode as filler, even though there was an important character moment where Misty gets a horsey.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, that's not really filler to me.
Anything,
but this episode is
this
filler.
The filler.
So the gang is on a boat, and then they're getting off. Brock is sad. He's like, bro, bikini season's over, yo, and I'm still single.
Dude, what a freaking homie.
Yeah. And as he's saying that, he looks over to a pier, and he sees this beautiful girl who's a freaking ghost. And then Brock looks away. Pikachu looks over and sees a Ghastly, and then it disappears. So right off the bat, this show's like, ha, it's just a ghost Pokemon.
Yeah.
You're in for it.
You're in for it.
Yeah. So the gang heads to a festival. They run into a creepy old lady who you're going to continue to see. And they show these like right back. You see Ghastly, you see the creepy lady. Team Rocket shows up. They're looking for some money. James sees the same maiden that Brock saw.
Yeah, so I have written here, the plot is just another Brock is horny episode.
Yeah.
James too, lol.
Also, he mentions one time when he's like distracted. I think he says like, "You kids wouldn't understand it." It's like he said that again.
Yeah.
How
old are you?
Is he?
He's got to be like 17 or 18.
Yeah.
Totally, right? Yeah, he's in on Nurse Joy and Officer
Yeah.
Jenny like it's no big deal. He's got to be.
Yeah. So the gang, they see this painting. There's like a gathering, and they see this painting gets revealed, and it's the maiden that died 2,000 years ago. And Brock's like, "Wait, no, I saw her." And then James was there too. They both like start walking up to the painting. It's like Cole said, it's a James and Brock nut fest. They tell the backstory of the maiden, how she was waiting for her true love, and she was waiting on this pier, and then her body turned to stone.
Yeah, it's just freaking ELO all over, everybody.
Yeah,
It turned to stone.
Yep.
You know the song.
So Brock goes to the statue. The gang's with him. Brock's sitting there. The gang's like, "Bro, I'm tired. Let's go, Brock. You're nutting to this freaking statue. Let's go." And Brock's like, "Nah, man, I'm staying." So Brock stays here all night. The gang leaves. It cuts to Team Rocket, and the ghost of the lady wakes up James. James gets taken out. Brock is still missing. I think they're staying in a Pokemon Center.
Yeah,
So
because Nurse Joy.
yeah, because she's
Nurse
there.
Joy's trying to enforce some bedtimes.
Yeah, she's like,
I thought that
go
was
to
so
bed.
weird. I'm like, you're not their mom. You're just some random person.
Yeah. So the next day, Team Rocket's freaking out. Jesse's like, "Where's James?" Misty and Ash are like, "Where are the freaks, Brock? He never came back." And they all end up back at where the statue was. There's like a shack or like a shrine, I guess, a building.
I'd call it a shrine. I think that
A
fits.
shrine. So they all meet there. They're like, "Man, we're missing somebody too." Blah blah blah. Brock and James fly out. They like fall out of this building, and they're under a spell. And it turns out it was Ghastly all along. Ghastly was the ghost maiden. Ghastly can talk, mind you, which I think
Yeah.
is the second Pokemon that has spoken.
Psychic Pokemon are known to communicate.
Gas is not even psychic type.
Well, yeah,
Ghost.
I guess he is.
He's
He has
ghost
I was thinking
poison.
He's psychic.
And
Yeah,
he's-
he's ghost.
He's got that
poison.
like that.
Dracula, like
yeah,
Transylvania.
Yeah, I want
accent.
to eat your blood.
I have written here, before you find out it's Ghastly, I have written, so in other words, the maiden is just a succubus.
Yeah.
Just praying after
Yeah.
Brock and James.
Yep.
I guess that doesn't make sense because psychic Pokemon communicate psychically with humans.
I think the line of like which
Yeah.
Pokemon can talk or not is just
Yeah.
very gray,
Yeah.
especially in these early episodes.
Especially Meowth. They for a while they never explain why he talks.
That said, when we get there, I
Yeah.
love that story of why
Yeah.
he can talk. That's super cool.
Is that in the first season?
That's in the first season somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I guess before we find out that it was Ghastly all along, I thought it was really funny how James is snapped out of it. Pikachu zapped him, so James is no longer under the spell, but Brock is just
Brock's
freaking,
still into it, dude.
He's gone. His horniness, his horny levels just through the roof. But I thought was funny was when the ghost shows up, James is freaking out, and Brock just like flips upside down, starts floating away, and he's just happy-go-lucky. James is like, "I don't want to die, save me."
I like how the shaman lady sells them like talismans to try to like ward off the ghost at like probably an egregious cost or something like that. And I just thought that was very funny because as you find out later on,
Yeah. She was Ghastly, and so Ghastly was the old lady, and he was the maiden, and himself or itself, whatever. And how we find out that it's Ghastly is Ash pulls out his Pokédex and he uses like a Ghostbuster finder thing, and Ghastly gets got.
He has like a Game Boy Horror or something from freaking EGAD.
yeah, from freaking Luigi Mansion.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was funny too. There's a little battle that ensues, and Blastoise and Venusaur they make
Venustoise.
They do the Dragon Ball Z merge
yeah,
dance,
yeah.
and they like poke fingers. And
It's like,
what's
what-
that
that
called?
was-
Thane?
That's the freaking
Fusion dance.
Fusion dance.
They,
Yeah.
that was the freaking like fanfic. It's like, oh, Pokemon Fusion.
Yep.
Yeah.
That set off so
Yeah.
many people like
did
going,
it.
"Where's
Yeah.
our Pokemon fusion?"
Thanks, Dragon Ball. You ruined a whole generation of anime.
So right at the very end, I thought this was hilarious. Ghastly's just a good businessman. He's
Yeah.
just going around making money, which
Yeah.
doesn't make sense why he'd need money, but like
He's a great con artist.
he's a great con artist. He ripped off the squad, stealing their money. He gets money apparently from the maiden too for like being the maiden once a year. And in all honesty, the whole episode's plot gets summed up in the span of 3 seconds right at the
Yeah.
end. Ghastly's just like, well, sun's out. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah,
See you in a year.
I wrote Ghastly
He is a
hates light.
vampire.
But what I thought was funny is before that, Misty rolls up with a cross, some garlic, a steak, and a hammer.
It's just a vampire.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Yeah, and
It's
then
like, what do you
Ghastly,
think of a
It's just
vampire?
Like, the
And then
power of
it's like-
Christ compels you.
yeah, Ghastly was like, yeah, there's light. I'm out. See you guys in a whole year. I'll be back for the next festival.
I'll be back to make some more money.
Um,
Good businessman, Ghastly.
Yeah, and that was it. Like you were saying, as Ghastly's going away, he's just like teaching people how to make the bag, dude. He's just like, I'm a rich mother.
Freaking
Wow.
gamer, dude.
What's he gonna do with money? He's a ghost.
I don't understand it either, but like maybe there's something we just don't
Yeah.
know. I want to see what happens to that Ghastly. Show me that
Yeah.
story, Pokemon.
Maybe he goes and hangs out with all the other ghost Pokemon. It's like, look, I got the money. What do you got?
And then at the very end of the episode, Ash is starstruck by seeing Misty in a yukata. And I just think that it's interesting that they do lots of weird things where it's like, okay, maybe Ash is into Misty,
Yeah,
but like nothing ever happens.
no.
They're definitely more like a brother and sister, but I think occasionally Ash just gets hit with the, I forgot you're a girl.
Nah, she's just
Yeah.
she's a classic tsundere.
She's a classic tomboy.
Tomboy tsundere
Yeah.
for Ash specifically. And
But does Ash ever like her back?
I mean, there's little moments like that. He gets little moments like that with most of his female companions, though. We'll see
Yeah.
later on. I remember, so I said earlier that I had the VHS for these 5 episodes. Now that I remember this part of the episode, I think it's confirmed. I guarantee you I had this VHS because when I was a kid, I also remember seeing Misty come out in the yukata, and I was just like, I don't know what the freak she's wearing, but she cute.
Show
I
me
remember
more.
this very, very well. I was just like Ash back then, and now that I know, I understand why I'm a weeb.
Yeah. All right. All right. Thanks for watching. I wanted to bring up 2 points. Watching the subbed version, I realized that the ending song is that meme that they had it back on a Black Sheep where it's like da 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 ba
Yeah.
da 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 da.
And as a Pikachu just
Yeah.
bouncing the
Yeah.
Pokeball. Boop, boop, doop,
And I
boop,
remember
boop.
the line when they do the
boop,
like
boop.
the English misheard lyrics where they go like donuts are high and fat, kazoo found a hobo in my room. It's
I don't remember
Princess
that.
Leia, the yodel of
Oh,
life.
I think I do kind of remember
Or
this.
give my sweater back, or I'll play the guitar. That's a classic video. That's Neil Cicierega. He's on the internet everywhere. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my god, this is it. I knew it was a Pokemon song, but I didn't know which one.
Yeah.
And also, the female voice actress for Ash sings some of the openings for the Pokemon. So she sings it from the perspective of Ash in like the first few openings.
They do that occasionally throughout the whole series, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome.
And also I listened
So
to some like pretty much all the openings, and one of them in the 3rd generation slaps pretty hard. It's like, damn, this is good.
In the Japanese openings?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them are just
Yeah.
really boppers.
And I was gonna listen to the English ones. Like, I'll wait for that. Also, they probably get worse as they go along.
When we get the new opening in English, we'll start doing our little tier list as we go
Yeah.
through, and then we can we'll even include the Japanese one, so we kind of have
So
a
you
little
wanna
bit
be a
more of
Miss
just
Pokemon
rather than just 2. Oh, that reminds me. I don't remember which episode it was, but there was one of these episodes that had music in the background that was that song that you were just
Yeah.
singing, and I was just like, wait, they had this song written before they turned into an opening? I
Yeah.
don't remember which episode it was, but I really
And
heard
also-
we all live in a Pokemon, we're
Pokemon.
Pokemon. Oh, well, I heard that little,
So,
without
yeah.
them singing it, I could just hear the actual,
And also, I looked
notes.
it up after, I think it's the one with the episodes with Tracy that they do the Pokemon jukebox.
Yeah. Mhm.
And that's the one with we're on the road to
Yep.
Meridian City.
That's where that comes in from.
Yeah.
Yep. But
Um,
we'll have to look forward to that in the future. We won't get there just yet.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. It's gonna
We're
be
still
like
on the Poke
80s.
Rap right
yeah.
now.
Which is great. I still listen to it every time.
Do you really?
Every
Do
time.
you have it
They should've
memorized
just
yet?
No.
They should have played that during the
disappointing.
credits. I think they did.
That is
during
the credits, is it not? Oh no, they do the
No.
opening again for
No,
the
in the
credits.
Cartoon Network broadcast, they would roll the credits during the Poke Rap to like keep the schedule.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, that's the show. Thanks for watching. See you in 2 weeks.
Up.
Oh,
Wait,
up.
but before we leave,
No, we're not seeing him in 2 weeks.
oh
And
yeah,
we won't be back for
Oh.
Pokemon until March.
Yeah, I'm
Excuse me,
okay.
until April.
April.
okay.
This is the only
so
episode for Pokemon this month.
Sky's go on a little vacation. He's going
Yeah,
on a
we're all
little
jealous of him.
He's going on the cruise on the Santa Ana, or what's it called?
I'm gonna go take a yacht like Ash.
Saint Anne?
I'm gonna be like my buddy
Saint
Ash
Anne.
and take
Don't
a
be
yacht.
on the Saint Anne
yeah,
though.
don't be on the Saint Anne.
Because you don't have
Yeah.
you're gonna have a Magikarp to try to swim you out, okay?
But maybe you'll have a Pokemon battle on there. Maybe take your Nintendo Switch.
Don't trade
Yeah.
any Butterfrees for Eradicate.
Yeah.
It's a bad deal, okay?
Bad deal. But anyways, we have a Life is Daijoubu episode coming up, regular one. And if you want to watch
That'll
our
be next
anime,
week.
that'll be next week. You want to watch the anime we're watching Vivi, Fluorite Eyes Song.
That's gonna be a fun one to talk about.
Yeah.
That'll be the episode right before our seasonal recap
Yeah.
and the last episode in February. Oh my gosh, the last episode
So
in March.
March.
This year,
Yeah.
dude. This year, the last
And
episode of March will be the winter
Yeah.
finale episode that we do.
And
Recap.
if you're
There it is.
if you're watching Rad Cats, promise we'll have an episode soon. Yeah.
We love you guys, and we hope you guys have a good one. And oh gosh, dang, I already ruined it.
Have a great Pokemon
Have a
life.
Have a
great
great
Pokey life. Yeah.
Yeah, have a great Poke life.
We'll
Pokey
see you
life.
guys then. Bye.
Bye.